I would write down problem number 1, y equals 4x plus 6. I know that they're telling me that they want me to find the slope and they want me to find the y-intercept. And they're wanting me to graph that. So you might want to draw you just a real quick XY axis. I'm going to be quiet and let you do that for just a minute. Make sure that you have that part. Okay, so when you have a problem like this, you need to know that that y equals mx plus b is the formula in slope-intercept form. M, which is the number in front of x, is your slope, and b is your y-intercept. So in this problem, the number in front of x is 4. And when you write down your y-intercept, it's always 0, comma, whatever is in that b place. And it's a positive 6. So positive 6. When you graph this, you want to always plot your slope first. So you want to do this first. And then, you want to do your y-intercept first. And then you want to do your slope second. So we're going to go to 0, 6. Put a dot there. If you're using the graphing tool, you're going to pick that. You're going to pick that this makes a straight line first. Then you're going to plot the point 0, 6. And then we need our slope written as a fraction. So if it's just 4, we could do 4 over 1, which would be our rise over our run. And so we would go up. This is positive 4. We would go up 1 from our y-intercept, up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. Okay, that would get us plenty for the test. I also can go backwards, and I can go, so going up 4, I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. That just kind of helps me get all the points. I guess I'm drawing it by hand. It helps me make a straight line. That's how you're going to do problem number 1. Problem number 2. This is what you're going to want to write. Find the slope of the line, and then the equation is 5y equals x plus 10. Okay, so it's wanting us to tell what the slope is or if it is undefined. Okay, so when we're solving this, we want it to look like, we want it, in the end, we want it to be y equals mx plus b, because the m would be our slope, and that's what we're looking for. So in this problem, all we would need to do would be to divide both sides of our equal sign by 5. Those 5s are going to cancel out, and I would get y is equal to, and we separate this out and write x over 5 plus 10 over 5. Now that's going to be y equals x over 5 can be rewritten as 1/5 times x, and then 10 over 5, 10 divided by 5 is just 2. Okay, so now the number in front of x is 1/5. And so that's what I would want to write right here, that my slope is 1 over 5, 1/5. This says to graph, number 3, graph x equals 8. Write that stuff down. You want to probably draw your XY axis real quick. Okay. When you have a graph or when you have an equation and it says x equals 8, then it means whatever you put in, x is always going to be equal to 8. So we don't have to plot a bunch of points. Doesn't matter what y is, x is going to be 8. I'm just putting in random numbers here, but I would have a point when x is 8 and y is 0. When x is when x is 8, y is -1. When x is 8, y is 2. When x is 8, y is 3, because the graph of x equals 8 is just a straight line that goes through where x is equal to 8. Okay, it didn't ask you this, but on this one, it's a vertical line, so the slope would be undefined. It's a horizontal line, your slope is 0, but on it's a vertical line, your slope is undefined. And that's how you're going to graph that. Okay, so on number 4, you want to write this for sure. You want to write the equation that we're graphing. You want to, and it wants us to graph it using intercepts. So you want to draw you an XY axis. So graph the linear equation using intercepts. Okay. So to find your x-intercept, you let y equal 0. Find your x-intercept, you're going to let y equal 0. And to find your y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0. So you already know that part of the point. So in our equation, y equals x plus 7. I'm going to just write this right underneath both of these. Okay. So the first time, instead of y, I'm going to put in 0. So right here, so this y, I'm going to change it to be 0, and I'm going to solve for x. So 0 is equal to x plus 7. To solve for x, I would need to subtract 7 from both sides, and I would get x is negative 7. So the x-intercept is negative 7, 0. So I'm going to go to negative 7, 0, and I'm going to put me a dot right there. When I'm using the graphing tool, I'm going to pick that this makes a straight line, and then I would plot this point. Okay, whenever I want to find my y-intercept, I want to let x equal 0. So when I'm writing down my equation, I would say y equals, I have a blank for x, and this time in that blank, I'm putting 0 in. So when I solve it, I'm just going to get y is equal to 0 plus 7 is just 7. So my y-intercept is going to be the point 0, 7. Okay, and I have solved, I'm graphing this line using my intercepts to solve it. Number 5 says to find the slope of this line, x equals negative 7. Okay. Really briefly, we talked about how on number 3, we just got through talking about how if we were going to graph this, then we would go to where x equals negative 7, and it would just be a line that goes through x equals negative 7. Okay, when it is a vertical line like that, so if it says x is equal to the vertical line, then our slope is undefined. It's a vertical line, your slope is undefined. So you want to pick B on that one. Slope is undefined if it's x equals. If it's y equals, your slope is going to be 0. If it's x equals, your slope is going to be undefined. And if it's y equals, your slope is going to be 0. And when I'm saying that, I guess I should clarify that if it's y equals just a number, not a whole equation. If it's x equals a number, your slope's going to be undefined. If it's y equals a number, your slope's going to be 0. Okay, on number 6, this is the stuff you want to jot down. Write down your table. Okay. So there's a couple of ways to go about this. The way that we did this in class is we just plugged in the missing part and we found we found the missing. I guess if they gave us x equals 0, we plugged that in and then we found y. So we'll just work it like that. So 3x plus 5y equals 75. They're telling me that this time that x equals 0. So I'm going to say 3 instead of x, I'm plugging in 0 plus 5y equals 75. 3 times 0 is just 0. So I end up with 5y equals 75. Going to divide both sides by 5. So those would cancel out. And we would get 75 divided by 5, which is going to be 15. So y would be 15 here. Okay, on the next one, they're telling me that y equals 0. Right here, they're saying y equals 0. So instead of y this time, 3x plus 5 times y equals 75. So instead of the y this time, I'm plugging in 0. And that's going to cancel out, and I'm going to get 3x is equal to 75. Divide both sides by 3, and so x equals 25. We're getting 25 for this. Okay, this last time they're letting x equal 5. So 3x plus 5y is equal to 75. So I'm plugging in 5 for x. Okay, I'm going to let you guys tell me in the chat what you get for this one. What do you get for y when you let x equal 5? Okay, so I'm getting one response. This is going to be 15. So 3 times 5 is 15 plus 5y is equal to 75. We're going to subtract 15 from both sides of our equal sign. So 5y is equal to 75 minus 15, which is 60. Okay, so when we divide by 5 here, we should be getting 12. 60 will go into 5 12 times. So this answer, when you plug in x is 5, you're going to get 12 over here. Okay, on number 7, says determine the slope. We're looking for the slope and the y-intercept of this line. 5x minus 2y is equal to 4. Okay. So really, we want this one to end up being the y equals mx plus b, because if we can get it like that, we know that the number in front of the x is the slope and that b is your y-intercept. So 5x minus 2y is equal to 4. Okay, if we want it to say y equals, we want to subtract the 5x, move it away. You don't want to get rid of the 2 or the -2 until the very end that's connected to the y. Then we've got -2y, because those 5x minus 5x is going to cancel out. We've got 4 minus 5x here on this side of the equal sign. Then we want to divide everything by -2. Okay, and when we do that, we split this up into 2 statements. Now, I'm going to just leave the signs with it, and let's talk about what we have when we do that. Okay, so we would get y equals 4 divided by -2. It's going to give you -2 when you simplify that. And if you type in your fraction, or if you type in your calculator, -5 over -2, it's going to tell you that that's positive. So a negative divided by negative is positive. And then 5 over 2 is not going to simplify. It's as simplified as it gets. And then we're putting the x out here. So the slope is always the number in front of the x. So our slope here would be 5/2. Let me write that where it looks more like a fraction, so I make sure I'm not confusing anybody. So our slope is 5 over 2. And our y-intercept, it says, this is important on your test that you type this as an ordered pair. So our y-intercept is the point 0, and this parentheses is important that you put there. 0, and then the other number that's not in front of the x is -2. That's where your y-intercept is. 0, -2. Okay. Number 8. If you're writing this down, it says, suppose that it costs, I really don't know if there's a shorter way. I think you have to write the problem down. So let's write the problem down. Suppose that it costs $25 to place a classified advertisement in the newspaper. Like I said, I've posted this, so if you don't want to write all it down, you don't have to, but plus $3 for each line. Then the cost to place an ad X lines long is given by Y dollars. So that means X represents the lines and Y represents the dollars, where Y is equal to 3X plus 25. So Y is equal to 3X plus 25. So Y here is the total cost. The 3 is how much it cost per line, and the 25 is how much you pay up front. So it doesn't matter how many lines, you're going to pay $25 if you're purchasing from them. You're going to pay up front the $25 plus $3 per line. So X, they told us that XY. They told us that X represents the lines, the number of lines, and Y is the total cost. So that's important when you write it, when they're asking some of these questions, because it says express as an ordered pair the fact that 6-line ad, so 6 is supposed to go where the X is $43. So that's how you would write that. So parentheses 6, 43. That's an ordered pair. So express as an ordered pair the fact that an ad costing $28, that's the total cost. This is where Y goes, is one line long, that's X. So that would be one line long, the total cost is $28. Okay. I'm going to give you just a minute to make sure that you were able to get that jotted down. Okay. So on this next one, number 9, it says, so determine whether these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So remember that this is what you would want to write down. So remember that if lines are parallel, this problem has a lot to do with slope. So let's just talk about this. So if it's slope, so if the lines are parallel, the slope is going to be equal or the same. They are perpendicular, the slope is going to be opposite reciprocals. If it's neither, then it won't fit either of these rules above. Okay, so in order for me to locate the slope, I've got to look at both of these lines. 4x plus 2y equals 9. In order for me to find the slope, I've got to solve this for y so I can get it to look like y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I need to subtract 4x from both sides of my equal sign, and that will give me 2y equals 9 minus 4x. Then I would divide everything by 2. So I would get y is equal to, and we split this up, 9 over 2 minus 4 over 2x. And we want to see if we can simplify it. 9 over 2 is just 9 over 2, but negative 4 over 2, that's going to end up being negative 2x. So the slope of this first line is equal to negative 2 because it's the number in front of the x. We look at this other line, 4x plus 8y. Nope, sorry, copied that down wrong. Second line, 4x equals 8y plus 12. Now we're solving this for y, so we're moving everything to the other side away from the y. So subtracting 12, 4x minus 12 is equal to 8y. Then we want to divide everything by 8. And so we split this up and we get 4x over 8 minus 12 over 8. We want to reduce anything. 4 8s, if you type in 4 8s in your calculator and you hit enter, you're going to get 1/2 x. And then minus 12 divided by 8 is going to end up being 3 over 2. So then on this one, the slope is the number in front of the x, which is 1/2. And so these are actually opposite reciprocals. So it's going to be perpendicular. Okay, so if we start our slope with -2, the opposite. So then we do the opposite of that. That's going to be +2. And then we do the reciprocal, which means flip it upside down. Well, 2 can be written as 2 over 1. So when you flip it upside down, it would be 1 over 2, which is what we got. And that means it's perpendicular because they're opposite reciprocals. That probably is one of the most difficult problems on here on this test. determining whether something is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. On number 10, they want us to find the slope of this roof. Okay, and they're telling you, so to find, I wouldn't draw a bunch of stuff on this. Maybe just draw this part where you have this rectangle where it tells you what the run, that the run is 12 and that the rise, I'm sorry, I drew over the rise. So that you can see that the run is 12 and then the rise is 9, because to find the slope, you want to do rise over run. And in this case, the rise is 9 feet. The run is 12 feet. So when you reduce that, you're going to get 3/4. And that's what you're going to want to put here, 3/4. It's the rise over the run. Okay, I feel like I went fast on that one, so I want to make sure I slowed down. So on number 11, they're asking us to basically describe what the graph of the linear equation will look like on the coordinate plane. So let's write this down. Let's write this down. Now, if you look at the answers, a lot of the answers have to do with x-intercepts and y-intercepts. So it would probably be smart if we found the x-intercept and the y-intercept to figure out which one of these is correct. So when we do that, we want to say, so if we find the x-intercept, we want to let y equal 0. So it would look like something, comma 0. And when we find the y-intercept, we want to let x equal 0. So the point would look like 0, comma something. Okay, so in this problem, we have 3x is equal to y minus 6. So if I let y equal 0, I'm going to get 3x is equal to 0 minus 6 would be negative 6. So if I want to finish that out, I would divide both sides by 3, and so I would get x would end up being negative 2. Negative 6 divided by 3 would be negative 2 here. So my x-intercept is negative 2. So it's not going to go through the origin because my x-intercept, because it would have to have this point would be 0, 0, not negative 2, 0. So I know it's not this one. It's not going to go through the origin. Okay. My x-intercept is negative 2, 0. That one. This is talking about the y-intercept. We haven't found it yet. I know it's not this one because the x-intercept says 2, 0. It's not this one because it doesn't go through the origin it doesn't go through 2, 0. It goes through negative 2, 0. And it doesn't go through 2, 0. So I've marked some of those out just because I figured that it wasn't that. So now I can go to my equation, and this time instead of y equals 0, I'm going to let x equal 0 in this equation. Maybe I should write the whole thing. Let me just scoot over and write it over here. So we've got 3x equals y minus 6. So 3 times 0 equals y minus 6. So 0 equals y minus 6. We would want to add 6 to solve for y. So y equals 6. So my y-intercept is 0, 6. Well, I can probably figure out some more. We already said it doesn't go through the origin, so it wasn't this one. It does go through those other 2 points, but the y-intercept is 0, 2. No, it's 0, 6. I mean, it's 0, 6. The graph is a vertical line with x-intercept -2, 0. Well, no, because it also goes through 0, 6. It doesn't just go through -2, 0. It doesn't just go through 0, 6. It also goes through -2, 0. So F will be the right one on this one. So really on that problem, if you find a X or Y intercept that is not 0, 0, it doesn't go through 0, 0. Okay, so you know that. The other thing is, you want to make sure you're picking both of the points. It can't just go through one or the other. Okay. So on that one, that's kind of tricky because of all that multiple choice. Just make sure you find the x-intercepts and you pick that one. Number 12 says graph the line passing through the given point. So you want to write this stuff down. This one's kind of easy. You want to write this down, and you want to get down your little graph first before we work that one. Okay. So remember, when you're doing this graph, you want to always start with your y-intercept. It's the first thing you want to do, and they're telling us it's 0, 3. So you're going to pick on your computer that it makes a line. Then you're going to go plot the point 0, 3, which is your y-intercept. Next, you're going to use your slope. And our slope is -4. You're going to want to write that as a fraction. So you're going to put a 1 underneath it. That's your rise over your run. So that means you're going to go down 4 because it's negative, and to the right 1. So from this point, we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. If we wanted to go backwards, we could go up 4 and to the left 1 to get another point. So down 4 to the right 1. They're only going to make you plot 2 points, so you don't have to do both of these. I'm just trying to make sure I draw a straight line on here. Or go, so down 4 to the right 1, or go up 4 to the left 1. Okay, both of those would work. Number 13, it says find the slope if it exists. So you're wanting to find the slope, and these are your 2 coordinates that you're writing down. I want to find the slope. I'm going to go ahead and jot this down. This is one I'm going to ask for your participation in. So I'm going to kind of get set up for you. Remember that the formula to find slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You'll want to label your points x1, y1, and x2, y2. You're going to use that to find the slope. I always set it up with the minus in the middle and stick my stuff in parentheses so that it helps me type it in my calculator correctly. Okay, so in the chat, what are you getting for the slope on this one? It is going to turn out weird. I will say that because the Y's are both -10. And so that's the kicker here, that something's going to, is it going to be one of those that's either 0 or undefined? Okay, so on this one, you're going to do y2, which is -10, over y, or minus y1, which is also -10. And then the x2 ends up being -1, and x1 is 7. So on the top, -10 minus -10 is 0. On the bottom, -1 minus 7 is -8. And 0 divided by -8 is 0. So the slope of this line is 0. I'm noticing that both of the y's are 10. So that means the equation of the line is y equals 10, which also told me that the slope is going to be 0. Okay. Number 14 says, for the graph on the right, determine if the slope is positive, negative, or 0. So it looks like this is just a graph of a line. So if you want to jot it down real quick, it's going through, this is going through this -2 right here. So the slope is it's a horizontal line, so the slope is going to be 0. The y value of the y-intercept right here, the y-intercept is 0, -2. So that's going to be negative. Okay, number 15 is another problem where you're supposed to find slope. So this is x1, y1, and x2, y2. So you're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm not noticing anything the same here. So on the top, I would have -14 minus -9. On the bottom, I would have x2, which is -19, minus x1, which is -15. So that's going to give me on the top, a minus turns into a plus. So -14 plus 9 is -5. And -19 plus 15 is -4. So a negative divided by a negative is positive. So our slope is going to be 5/4 on that one. Okay. Not undefined. Number 16 says write an equation for the line passing through the given pair of points. So they want us to find the answer in slope intercept form and standard form. So in order for me to work with this, I have to find the slope first. So I need to do this y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this would be my x1, y1, and this would be my x2, y2. So I'm going to have 5 minus 0 on the top, y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is 0. And on the bottom, I'm going to have 0, which is x2, minus x1, which is negative 4. So 5 minus 0 is 5. And then 0 minus negative 4 is 4. So my slope is 5/4. I like to use this method. It says it wants it in slope-intercept form. So if I can just find B, I can put it in that form. I know that M is 5/4. I'm just going to use one of my points here. So I'm going to use the point -4, 0, and I'm going to plug that in for, this would be my X, and this is my Y. So I'm going to say 0 is equal to 5/4 times -4 plus B. So 0 is equal to, this is going to end up being -5. 5/4 times -4 plus B. So I would end up with 5 equals B. So now that I know that, the slope-intercept form is y equals my slope, which is 5/4 x, plus B, which is my y-intercept. If I want to write that in standard form, all I have to do is move my x to the other side and to move with the y. So to move it to the other side, it would be -5/4 x plus y is equal to 5. I just have to move that. Now, let me make sure they don't want you to cancel out for that. Sometimes in standard form, they don't like you to leave it as a fraction at all. And they don't here. So they want us to cancel out that fraction. So let's go up here and let's work on canceling out this 4 on the bottom. So if you have any fraction, what you want to do is multiply the whole thing by whatever is in the denominator. So that 4 times -5/4 will give me -5x. And then 4 times y would give me 4y. And then 4 times 5 would give me 20. And that's how they're coming up with this, the answer for standard form. Okay. I know I went a little bit fast on that problem. If you're having trouble staying with me, type something in the chat. On number 17, we're going to graph this x minus y equals -2. It wants us to graph it by the intercepts. So we would let x equal 0 and find what y equals. And then we would let y equal 0 and find out what x equals. So if I let x equal 0, I would have 0 in this equation right here. I would have 0 minus y equals -2. So -y equals -2. To get rid of that negative, I could multiply both sides by -1. So I'd have y equals 2. So I would have the point 0, 2. And then if I want to use the same equation, but this time I'm plugging in 0 for y, x minus 0, well, that's just x. So x is equal to -2. I would have a point at -2, 0. And when I would plot those points, and I would draw my graph. On number 18, it says, use the equation below and the indicated value to find an ordered pair that is a solution. So our equation is y equals 5x minus 1. They want us to let x equal 1. So I'm just going here and I'm plugging in 1 for x. And so 5 times 1 is 5, minus 1 is 4. So the answer would be 4 here. In number 19, it says M1 represents the slope of line 1. M2 represents the slope of line 2. Indicate whether they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, they're not the same. If they're the same, they're parallel. So I want to see if they're opposite reciprocal. So if I start out with -5, 2, the opposite of that would be +5/2. And the reciprocal would be 2/5. which is what this is. They're opposite reciprocals, so they are perpendicular. If they were exactly the same, they would be parallel. If they're neither opposite reciprocals or parallel, then that's when you're going to pick neither. Okay, this is the last problem, number 20. It says graph the equation by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So x plus 3y equals 12. We want it to be y equals mx plus b, so that we will know that m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we want to subtract x, start moving things away from that y. So 12 minus x. And we're going to divide by 3. So y is equal to 12 over 3 minus x over 3. And then we want to simplify that as much as we can. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then we want to write that as minus 1/3 x. And so our slope, so we want to do our y-intercept first, and our y-intercept is going to be the 0.04. So we'll go to 0.04 and plot that. Then we want to work with our slope, which is negative 1/3 rise over run. So we want to go down 1 and to the right 3. So from this point, we're going to go down 1 and to the right 3. You also go up 1 to the left 3. But that's what you're going to do to graph your line. Down 1 to the right 3, or left 1 to the, or up 1 to the left 3. So that is the test review for chapter 3. And I will post this in Blackboard